The big stories in Israel were yesterday the Mossad or somebody exploded 3,000 pagers in Hezbollah headquarters and throughout the country. And in Israel, we are lucky to have North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, who is visiting the Jewish state. He joins me by phone from Israel. Good morning, Governor Burgum. Thank you for being with me. What are you doing in Israel?
Well, good morning, Hugh. Here on a quick 3-day solidarity mission to show those in Israel that many of us in the United States are literally standing with them, and not just figuratively, but literally stand with Israel in Israel as we approach the October 7th anniversary. And of course, I feel in the context of elections back home, protests on college campuses, there's just so much misinformation and misunderstanding about what's going on in this country. And having this morning just toured a kibbutz where one of the atrocities was rained upon just a mile and a quarter from the Gaza border, and then also just left the Nova concert site were just unthinkable. I mean, it's heartbreaking when you look at the pictures and the photos of memorials for 370 young people, to think that we've got young people on campuses protesting, the murder and slaughter of the kind of thing they probably would think they might be doing this weekend. So
nights ago, Governor, you've been traveling. A Jewish student at my alma mater, the University of Michigan, where I went to law school, was beaten for being a Jewish student. So it's begun again. It's extraordinary to me. I hope it doesn't go on at North Dakota State.
No, not happening in North Dakota for sure. But I tell you what, and you mentioned the top of the hour, but with I think Americans are forgetting. They're focusing on Gaza. They're have a few sound bites, but this is a country that since October 7th last year has had close to 8,000 missiles launched at this country in the last year. And since this thing that went by in April, the April 14th, where Iran itself directly attacked Israel with hundreds and hundreds of missiles, and again, the United States, in partnership with others in the region, knocking down most of those, and then the current administration saying, "We'll call it a win." I mean, as opposed to saying, "No, we just got attacked." Not by one of the tentacles, but by the head of the whole octopus, which is Iran, who's funding all of this. And then, of course, talk to anybody in the U.S. Navy, and we've got restrictions and interruptions to our global supply chain in the Red Sea because of what the Houthis are doing. And we landed here on Monday, and the day before, they were blowing sirens at Tel Aviv airport because a ballistic missile had come from Yemen. I mean, we're talking 1,000 kilometers away, aimed at the Tel Aviv airport. So this is there's a not just a conflict going on here. I guess people will get semantics. They want to call it a war. But if you were living in the U.S. or Canada and somebody had, rained down close to 8,000 rockets on you in the last year, I mean, since August, that's about one an hour if you spread it out, the 4,600 that have come since the April attack. We'd probably say we're at war. I mean, I don't know how. How you would think about that, or I would say, like, hey, we're in a conflict right now, and I think Americans and perhaps the Biden-Harris administration don't even fully understand that because they keep talking about restricting, sending weapons to Israel at a time when they need our full and unequivocal support. I mean, this is if people see the atrocities of what Hamas inflicted here, there would be a clear side of right and wrong, and who's on the right side from any moral authority in terms of this conflict.
Now, Governor Burgum, next hour I'm going to play a tape we've laid down of you and I talking about American energy, and we're going to talk about Israel in that context and their desalinization, their energy production, how Iran is being funded by us. But I want to focus in this first segment of the show on what happened yesterday. What do the Israelis tell you about what happened yesterday? Because it's on the front page of every newspaper in the United States. It's leading every broadcast because it's so remarkable that Israel can carry off, as is suspected, Mossad, an attack on 3,000 senior Hezbollah leaders in order to disable it, probably in anticipation of an invasion of Hezbollah-held Lebanon. What do you hear on the ground after one day about that remarkable operation?
Well, we had an opportunity to have some conversations with senior government officials last night or coming tonight. This is certainly a topic here as well, and everyone's quite mum the word about who and exactly how from a confidentiality. But I think Hugh, you would understand this better than anyone. But to have that kind of precision, to be able to take out thousands of people precisely, because you're only wearing a Hezbollah pager if you're part of the Hezbollah command structure. And remarkably, of course, it's been reported that the Iranian ambassador, I put that in air quotes, was wearing a Hezbollah pager, because it certainly seems to me that if you're maybe you're not a diplomat, if you're actually wearing a terrorist group's pager and part of their command structure. So that that's again a remarkable thing. But I mean, this is the stuff that will go down in history. I mean, in all of this, could be the most successful counter-terrorist attack ever in terms of its precision of hitting the people you want to hit and having the least amount of collateral damage. I mean, it's just remarkable, and I again, when you think about all the the rockets that have been fired from the north into Israel, and the 100,000 people that have been displaced in Israel because of that, with the battles going on with Hezbollah from the north, which barely makes the paper at home because everyone's focused on Gaza and Hamas. But it's a remarkable thing, and I think it's a sea change, and certainly what a shock for these terrorist groups to understand that there's that level of precision, infiltration, and capability that exists.
Now, Governor Burgum, here at home, we have two very different candidates. You're close with President Trump, full-throated support for Israel, telling him to win the war. He'll support this operation. Vice President Harris says, Israel has the right to defend itself, but it can't do what it's done in Gaza. We haven't heard anything yet about the pagers. She'll probably condemn that or not speak to it. Do you have a good sense of the difference the Israelis feel between Trump and Harris? Have you picked that up at all?
Well, certainly there's an understanding, but if you're a senior leader in Israel, as they say, you've got very few friends in the world right now. The United States is a friend, and you got to be a friend, whether it's your best friend or which would be President Trump's administration, or your second best friend, which would be the U.S. with somebody else. But clearly they understand that there's two different futures for them after next January 20th and after this election. Because, as you said, I mean, Harris doesn't even put a comma in the sense, I support Israel, but I don't think that they should, receive 2,000-pound bombs. I mean, she's putting conditions on the relationship all the time. When she says, hey, when she says ceasefire, all that Hamas and Iran hear is, there's pressure on Israel to surrender. And so I've said this on your show, maybe I've said it on others a year ago, but I feel like they keep negotiating for the terrorists on behalf of the terrorists. Unless you're putting maximum pressure on Iran and full support for Israel, if you're doing the opposite, if you're putting conditions on Israel and trying to create space for Hamas to exist, then you're negotiating. That's the position they want. You're negotiating for the terrorists as opposed to for our allies.
True.